Welcome in, everyone, to episode 39 of the Memes, Dreams, 32 Teams podcast. We are back with another division review. I'm Justin,
I'm Eddie.
and we are going to talk about the NFC North today. But like we usually do before we jump into the division, we're going to do the news and updates, but there hasn't really been anything because we recorded 2 days ago.
Yep.
And yeah, there's been a couple injuries, some people who are sick, people missing preseason games. Nothing crazy that we think requires like a full discussion. The Jets lost their best defensive lineman, Carl Lawson. Jalen
Achilles.
Jalen Hurts is sick.
He'll be back by the start of the season.
There's like been a couple fights in practice. Big Ben is
Nothing.
excited for the new Steelers offense. There's like
Nothing that
nothing.
really. Yeah. Nothing that affects week one for the most part. So
Nothing major, we should say. Like Carl Lawson getting injured is going to affect week 1 for the Jets, but not like, you know what I mean? Like it's nothing major. So we will jump straight into it then, and we'll talk about the team that I am the most excited for in this division,
easily.
and that is the Chicago Bears. And their
Bears.
they have brought in 2 quarterbacks this offseason, one free agent in Andy Dalton, and a rookie in Justin Fields, who they drafted at pick 11, who they traded up for. They traded with
Which
the Giants, if I remember correctly.
probably the best pick of the first round. In my opinion, we were saying it before the draft that he was the most NFL ready quarterback, and then you saw obviously we knew Trevor Lawrence was going to go first. The Trey Lance pick was kind of out of nowhere. Denver ended up picking up somebody that I'm blanking on now before the draft.
Denver went Teddy
And
Bridgewater.
there you go. Um, so Justin Fields just fell all the way to 11, which I thought he should have gone a lot earlier than that, but so be it.
I mean,
Bears got a steal at 11 if you can have a steal at 11.
the thing is like looking at the draft at like a couple teams. I mean, I guess there's only one team up to pick 11 outside of like the Jags, the Jets, and 49ers who also took quarterbacks. The Broncos. I I feel like they should not have gone Bridgewater and and got Justin Fields, because I think he would have been there regardless of them going Bridgewater. I think he would have been there at 9.
Yes, and that I guess that was their fear picking up Teddy Bridgewater, was that they weren't going to be able to get any of the quarterbacks that they would have wanted. But I don't think anybody saw the 49ers taking Trey Lance up until they took Trey Lance.
Yeah,
Because in our eyes, and probably 99% of the rest of the nation's eyes, Justin Fields was going to go in the top 5.
I mean, I thought he was going to go to the 49ers and like shock everyone, because that wasn't supposed to like be his pick, right? That's what they were saying. And I mean, I don't know why like people are so low on Justin Fields. Like I want to know what it is.
Stop the Justin Fields slander.
Yeah, I want to know what it is about his like. I want to pull up his stats from Ohio State, because he did transfer from Georgia to Ohio State.
Yeah. I wonder if he has a kind of like lingering injury that either we're unaware of, or there was somebody else in the draft that it came out after the fact that he had a recurring heart
Yeah, JOK.
condition. Yeah. Which is why he ended up dropping like 15 places further than we expected.
Like looking at Justin Fields' stats from college, he had a 68% uh, pass completion rate, and then his touchdown to interception ratio was 67-9.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, his first season at Ohio State, he went 41-3, and then second season, because of COVID, so it was less games, he went 22-6. So
I mean, I
maybe
think one of the reasons why I'm so high on him is because he played at Ohio State. He's not playing teams like BYU's playing, or he's not playing teams like Trey Lance was playing in D2.
in North Dakota State University.
Yeah. So Trevor Lawrence playing at Clemson, obviously going to be playing 5, 6 tough games prior to getting to the National Football Championship. there's no difference with Justin Fields. He's been playing the Michigans. He's been playing. I don't know. I don't remember who they played. Ended up playing in towards the end of the
Mm,
year, but he plays a lot of these D5 Power One schools that are 8-3 at the end of the year every year.
mm-hmm.
Like 8-3 is a bad year for them.
Yeah,
So I don't understand why he dropped so far, but so be it. He did. Bears got a good pick.
I'm wondering if like his COVID season where he threw 6 interceptions was just about half the games of his 2019 season, but he threw twice the picks. Like I'm wondering if that's what they're looking at.
I
Um,
guess, but how much stock can you take in that COVID season?
that's what I'm
Because they
like.
had
That's
they
what
had
I'm
no training
wondering.
camps. They had minimal practices. I think they most of the Power Five schools got the go to have practices like a week or two prior to the season starting, instead of starting in February like they normally do. So there's a lot that was against a lot of these guys that ended up getting drafted. But I mean, it could be a factor. The fact that he threw on par for twice as many touchdowns.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I like Justin Fields. I'm very high on Justin
yeah.
Fields.
I think he will play at least 8 games this season.
I was going to give him more than that.
Oh, I'm being
At
generous
least, yeah.
because I think we both agree that he should be on the field. But what's probably going to happen, unfortunate to him, if he doesn't start week 1, that is, what's going to happen is they're going to play Andy Dalton for too long. And then they're going to be like, oh, I guess we should give Fields a chance. And then they're going to be like 2-6 or something, or 3-5. And then they're going to be like, Justin Fields played okay in our losing season. And it's like, well, you let Andy Dalton play half the season. So like
Yeah.
it's kind of on you.
I'd be surprised if they let him go, let him ride the bench for more than like, unless Andy Dalton is doing and saying they're 4-1 after 5 games. I see him being like week 6, week 7.
See, the downside is they also have Nick Foles. They have 2 veteran quarterbacks who have made playoffs. One is a Super Bowl winner, like sitting on their roster in front of this rookie.
Yeah, which they didn't. They acquired Andy Dalton this year off of free agency, but did they trade for Nick Foles? They've been sitting on Nick Foles.
He came in either last season or the season before. Trying to
Yeah,
vaguely remember.
prior to this season
Yep.
though, or prior to last season, he was already on the roster behind Trubisky. Well, for a little bit.
Um, Outside of the quarterback situation, I feel bad for them. Their second round pick, Tevin Jenkins, uh, has back surgery, and they are unsure if he will even play this season. So this was yesterday. Why I don't know why this didn't pop up anywhere. I was literally looking at all the
That's
news.
big news.
But yeah, their second round pick, Tevin Jenkins, tackle from Oklahoma State, is having back surgery, and they're trying to be optimistic, but there is a real chance that his season is over.
He's on the IR right now. He's not
Yep.
even listed on the starting depth chart.
So if he's on IR, which means he can't come back until after week 8, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, he can come back week 9 versus Pittsburgh. But if he were to be healthy by the end of the IR stint, they probably wouldn't let him come back until week 11, which is
After
after
the
their bye
bye.
week. Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the smarter play, regardless if he's gets the doctor okay
yep.
and healthy, or however you want to say it. That's the
Give
best
him
thing
a
to
few
do,
weeks
probably.
of practice to get like ready to go.
Because he re-injures himself. There goes your second pick
Yep. And
for not only this season but further, possibly.
he's a wonderful tackle. Like he's gonna start on this roster. When he's
Again,
healthy,
same.
he's gonna
Good.
start.
Yeah, I was gonna say same thing. Like I was saying about Ohio State, Justin Fields at Ohio State. Oklahoma State plays a lot of these big name teams. They played Oklahoma. They played Texas. They played Texas Tech. So I mean, college is a very big step to the NFL
Mhm.
still, but I'm gonna take the guy that's not playing cupcakes most of the year
Yeah.
over somebody else who may not be able to actually do it or hasn't seen any of these guys that are 350 and can bench press 350.
Then
So
let's look at the rest of their offense. So their offensive line, I would say, is probably their weakest point of their offense.
That's why they
Uh,
drafted for their
yep.
offensive line.
Unfortunately, he gets injured. Uh,
Yeah.
their running back situation is David Montgomery to Tariq Cohen, which is a good. That's it. A good 1-2.
Yeah.
They're not Montgomery and Cohen aren't going to be your 1,800-yard rushing core. They're not going to be like a back that or a backfield that catches 90 passes this season. It's just going to be like 12 to
No,
1,300 rushing yards for this group, and then 40 to 50 catches. I would say like a very just mediocre running back.
and they're going to be without Terry Cohen for a while. He's out with a knee injury, has been for about 3 weeks now, and there's no timetable on him actually coming back.
Wonderful. They like
So
this is just an unfortunate situation that they keep like a team like this. He
this
tore his
team has so
ACL.
much
He
potential.
tore his ACL in week 3 of last season,
Yeah,
which an ACL tear is usually a 9 month to a year recovery. So week 3 would be almost end of September. So
same after the bye week.
I would say, well, they haven't put him on IR.
Oh, okay.
So with him not on IR, he can come back immediately.
Yeah, but
Um,
how much do you want to push that ACL injury? Not that, I mean, you can still walk around with no support with
mhm.
an ACL injury. So it's not serious, but he can't run. He can't make those cuts. He can't take a hit for the most part.
He will probably come back if he's healthy. I would say week 4 or week 8. Looking at some of
Depending
their
on,
easier games.
yeah, and depending on how long they want to give him to
Yep.
rehab or how long he wants him to practice and get back into the swing of things. Because he's definitely going to miss all the preseason. He's going to miss the first few games. So I like Tariq Cohen. He was a Falcon for a while, and he's a really good like third down screen pass out of the
Mm,
backfield kind of back. So he's definitely not your starting running back by
yep.
any
Yep.
means. But he's good goal line. He's good because I don't think he's more than like 5'9". Yeah, he's 5'6".
Yep. He's a little guy.
So he's very small. He'll be the guy that shoots out between the three hole on your offensive line, and you don't see him until he's past you
Hmm.
because you literally can't see him over the offensive line.
And then
So
with wide receivers, they have who I think is a true number one, who's had a really rough career, Allen Robinson. And then
ref,
you have Marquise Goodwin, who is a absolute speedster. I mean, he also runs track, so it makes sense.
yeah,
He's sort of like a Deshaun Jackson esque wide
hmm
receiver. And then they have Darnell Mooney as their third, who rounds out the three, but I would say that there's better thirds out there. Um,
yeah, but I wouldn't knock him.
oh, for
He's
sure.
still solid, especially whenever you're talking about Andy Dalton or Nick Foles possibly throwing passes to him, let alone Justin Fields.
It's definitely, I would say this team is definitely going to be pass first, run
Oh, for
second.
sure. Most definitely. Between the weaker offensive line and not a knock on David Montgomery, but there's better running
Yeah,
backs.
David Montgomery hasn't shown enough as like a number one running back to really like push himself into that upper echelon of running backs in the league.
I mean, it's only his third season, so he's still got time to be able to prove that. And he put up
Yep.
over 1,000 yards last year, if you can give last year any kind of
He's trending
credit.
in the right direction. It's just
Most
now
definitely.
like the third season is I feel like everyone says the third season is like really where you start to see if someone is gonna make it in the league or if they're just gonna be kind of mediocre or flunk out. Because
Yeah.
like your first year you can come out and you can be spectacular, then you have a sophomore slump, and then your third year is like, okay, where's your trajectory? Or it's the opposite. You have a weak first year, a really good second year. Do you maintain it or do you fall off? Like the
Yeah.
third year is
You
usually
start your trend.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what Montgomery does this season. Their defense side of the ball is definitely their strong suit. like
was
just naming
scary.
off people: Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman, Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, Denny Trevathan, Robert Quinn, Deshaun Gibson Sr., Eddie Jackson. Like their defense is their strong suit here.
Yeah,
Like this
which
team is gonna be. We say it with every team that's defense heavy. Their offense just needs to. It's gonna sound really dumb. They just need to score more points. I
they
know
just
it
need to
sounds really
execute.
dumb, but when your
Th-
defense, if your defense can hold the team, but your offense can't score enough, like why is your defense even trying?
this defense should be able to hold whoever they're playing to 20 or less most games.
I would say they will hold. Like looking just like briefly at the roster, they'll probably have 6 to 8 games that they will hold their opponent to less than 3 touchdowns. They
Okay.
may give up 20 points because it's 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, or they give up 23 with that extra. Like you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
may happen, but there will be a lot of games I think that this defense can hold a team to 2 touchdowns. Which if you're holding a team to 2 touchdowns, you should win the game.
Yeah, you should win the game. But we've
So
seen we've seen plenty of games end at 13-14,
yeah,
10-3.
ugh, 7 to
But
6.
I don't think the Bears are that. Their defense, while their defense is the strong suit, and that's not to say that their offense is trash. Their offense is
It's trending in the right direction. They just need a
they
little bit of
could
help.
they get enough chemistry going this year and enough things going in their direction, they will be a top 10 offense.
I could see it. I could definitely see it with their team.
I don't think you're as high on the Bears as I am.
My issue is because Justin Fields isn't playing. If Justin
That's
Fields
yeah.
can get in early enough in the season and get rolling, this team will be a top 10 team.
I think their
I
biggest
just,
problem, I know we're not trying to harp on the quarterback situation so much. They have a quarterback situation that's the opposite of what you generally think of as a quarterback situation.
yep.
They also don't know who to start, but it's because they have Andy Dalton, who's a proven veteran, Nick Foles, who's a Super Bowl winning veteran, and Justin Fields, who's the hottest quarterback in the draft. Second hottest, I guess, Trevor Lawrence. So who do you start? Who do you have leading that offense? I agree. Andy Dalton's probably the pick to go early until Justin Fields can kind of get acclimated a little bit, let him come in during some garbage time. But you got to put him on the field at some point.
And that's the issue I see with this team. Like is that they're gonna sit on Dalton for too long. Whether too long is 6 games or too long is 10 games or it's the whole season. Like I I
When do
think
you pull the plug?
I think Justin Fields. I personally think he should start week 1 because the nice thing about this team is that if Justin Fields goes in week 1, plays through the first 6 weeks and looks terrible, you can pull him and put in a veteran and still have a chance at playoffs.
That's fair. Instead of flipping the script on that and saying they're 2-3 after 5 games, but Justin Field in there, and now he has to make something out of the
Yeah,
season.
like just tell him week 1, go out, play your game. We have a full
Do your
season ahead
thing.
of us. If you don't play well today, that's fine. Next Sunday, you're going to get it together. Like, give him week 1 to get acclimated quickly.
Because who go ahead and start
They,
looking at their schedule?
yeah,
Week one, they played the
the
Rams, so
Rams.
that's not going to be an easy first game.
No, it's not.
But it'll be a very nice welcome to the NFL rookie.
But like, go to the 1-2, right? So he goes in and he goes into LA, and maybe he throws 2 picks, right? He goes 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He throws 250, runs for 60, right?
I will take that out of my rookie quarterback against the Rams defense. Are you kidding me?
You're like, you know what? It's got an upside. And then he goes into Cincinnati, who has a much worse defense, and he
Does the
goes
same exact level of play. He's going to throw for 404 touchdowns.
exactly. And then you're like, all right, Justin Fields is our guy.
Yeah.
So
But you got to give him that chance.
he needs to play week 1, in my opinion. And again, that's like I'm high on the Bears with Fields as their quarterback.
Okay.
Without Fields, like no
I
offense
mean,
to Andy
Andy
Dalton,
Dalton,
but
he
like
was your guy last year.
Andy Dalton will get this team probably to the playoffs and then lose a wild card, as Andy Dalton does.
As Andy Dalton does.
But yeah, I don't know. Let's just run through their schedule real quick. They have some tough games.
They have some tough games. Yeah,
They play the
to say the
Rams.
least.
They play the Browns. They play Vegas, Green Bay twice, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Arizona, Seattle. Uh, I think let's do. They're fortunate they play Detroit twice.
Hmm.
We'll talk about Detroit today, obviously, but I'm not very high on Detroit. One, two, 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 two. I'm gonna say
I've got my number ready.
let's go over under on the Bears of 8.5. I can go 10.
I go 10. There's plenty of games in here that should be easy wins. I give them one game against Minnesota. I give them half a game against Green Bay. Depending on how quickly they get their chemistry together, they should beat San Francisco and they should beat Steelers before the bye week. Baltimore is meh.
I'm gonna say that they win 8, and it's because of the issue that I've stated that Andy Dalton is going to be running this team for too long. It's
That's
it's
reasonable.
it's it's the nature of the beast that I think Andy Dalton is definitely a backup. I don't think he should be your guy going into week 1. Obviously, I'm not in training camp. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know what Justin Fields is doing. Is he ready? Is he not? I don't know. My opinion is that Justin Fields should be playing. Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
feel
say
like Andy Dalton is like the designated backup through the years and then just happens to play a bunch.
I mean, when he was in Cincinnati, he was their starter because he came over after Carson Palmer
Well,
left.
post
Yeah,
post
post
Cincinnati.
post Cincinnati, it's been like, all right, Dalton. Hopefully, you don't have to
Hopefully we
play.
don't need you.
And then it's like,
But
oh, Dak's leg is gone. Oh yeah, we need you.
yeah,
So 8 from me, 10 from you.
I like the Bears. I really do like the Bears, and I it's hard to say they shouldn't play Andy Dalton. It's not that they shouldn't play Andy Dalton; it's that they should play Justin
Yep.
Fields.
Yeah. And the
So,
thing is with the Bears is they are trending in the right direction.
mhm.
This team, if Justin Fields can get going, like again, we're really high on Fields, but if he comes into the regular season and he's not ready, he's not ready. Like there's nothing
That's
to
all
it,
there is to
right?
it.
So if Justin Fields can going, this team, because we'll talk about, I think we talk about the Packers here in a second. The thing is when Aaron Rodgers leaves, if Fields is ready by the end of this season, the Bears will run this division for 5+ years.
For this foreseeable future, more than
It
likely.
will be it will be the Bears division to lose every single season. But speaking of Aaron Rodgers and those Green Bay Packers, let's transition to them. And
Aaron Rodgers still hanging out.
he doesn't. Did you see what he said about this season? He doesn't want
No.
it to be a farewell tour.
Oh, are you coming back next year?
I guess he
No,
doesn't want
then
the whole.
farewell.
I think he just doesn't want the whole season. Like every home game, they're like, "All right, Aaron Rodgers, here's a like
Tribute
yeah," or
and all
like when he
that.
goes to like they go play in Detroit. Detroit's like, "Here's a like picture of you throwing a touchdown here, and we're celebrating your last season with the Packers." Like he doesn't want all of that stuff, right?
Which I get that, but at the same time, like you have ravaged this division for almost 2 decades.
He haunts
You have,
everyone's dreams.
yeah, like you have been every time we talk about, anytime anybody talks about quarterbacks in the NFL, it's the three names that come to mind for me are Tom Brady, four names: Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning.
Do you know a
Those are
fun
the four
fact about
names I
that?
pretty much always think about.
You
What's
know a
up?
fun fact about that is that Drew Brees is actually the worst quarterback out of those four.
I
Like
saw that,
by
like one
far.
MVP or something.
Yep.
One MVP, one Super Bowl. The rest have minimum like three
Yeah.
MVPs. Yeah, I saw that, which is insane. But I guess being a Falcons fan, I saw Drew Brees 2 times a season, sometimes
Mm,
3 times a season
yep.
for a decade and a half. But I mean, Drew Brees is. I hate the man, but I gotta respect him. He's easy first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest
Hmm.
quarterbacks that the league will ever get to see. And me and you have talked about this before. How fortunate are we to be able to see all these amazing quarterbacks at the same time?
I mean, it's similar to like I know this is a tangent that we'll wrap up real quick, but it's similar to like my dad would be like, "Oh, Roger Staubach, Steve Young, like all these other guys," and then we could tell our kids like, "You should have seen Tom Brady win his sixth Super Bowl," and they'll be like, "What, six Super Bowls?" And you're like, "I know,
Wait,
crazy."
there's more.
Yeah, and he
He went to
kept playing
Tampa.
when he was 63. So like, yeah, so it's really exciting to have like our version of that story that we get to tell.
But
Um,
it's coming to an end.
unfortunately, it'd be cool if we got to see all these guys keep playing, just because it's really cool to see the greats keep being great. But it's time for someone else to take over, please. Um,
Please. I don't
but
care who. Andy Dalton, come on.
the
No, he
thing
won't be around long either.
the thing with the Packers that I feel bad for, like for Rodgers, is Rodgers had early in his career he had solid wide receiver cores, but right now he has a number one in Devontae, and then a package of number threes that they're trying to
Mhm.
scramble and figure out who should be on the field, like Marquez Valdez Scantling, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Devin Funches, St. Brown. Like these are all 3 and 4s who, I get it. Rodgers can make anyone look good, but imagine. Let's go back in time when he had a true 1, 2, and 3.
Whenever he was putting up
Stupid numbers.
35 touchdowns on a bad season.
Yeah, on a bad season. Like, I don't know, man. Like they just don't help him. I don't know what it is.
And that's been his whole argument. And you go look at their rosters over the last 2 or 3 years, you see that he's been asking and asking and asking for help. They got some help in Tanyan. They got some help getting Devontae Adams on the roster. But
Yeah,
then they drafted
keeping
another
Devonte
quarterback.
Adams.
Yeah.
This team would have been in shambles if Rodgers left right now because Devonte Adams would have left as well.
Yes.
And then I don't know how much longer Aaron Jones has on his contract, but he'd probably be out. Randall Cobb would not have come back. This
No.
this team would have been in absolute shambles if it wasn't for Rodgers. I just looked up Rodgers'
Well,
stats, by
it's
the way. Rodgers threw 48 touchdowns last year with whoever this wide receiver core is. Again, it's not a shot. Like I don't mean to be so blunt about his wide receiver core, but like in comparison to other teams, I don't know, man. Like you go to Tom Brady, he's got Evans, Godwin, and Antonio Brown and Gronk. Like
go to Tennessee. AJ Brown, Julio Jones.
I just look at that. Like ah, that is the thing that I've always felt so bad. Like once Rodgers and that core, like, gonna sound really weird, but like ran its course, they were kind of like, "Oh, you got it, Rodgers. You can make
But the
anyone
bad
look
thing
good."
is that he does have it, and he still does have it, and he still does have it. You keep on saying he doesn't have wide receiver core, and you're not wrong. How did he put together 13 wins and being all the way to the NFC Championship last year with that roster? And he
Um,
did it the year
um,
before. And he did
because
it the year before.
because if I'm standing somewhere, anywhere on the field, right, and there is this much space for the ball to get in, I'm gonna catch it because
And
Aaron
he nails
Rodgers
it
because Aaron Rodgers will put the ball where it has to be perfectly. Like
every time.
he is
And it's so aggravating.
his touchdown to interception ratio is almost super close, almost 5 to 1.
Well, yeah, was it last year? Either last year or the year before, it was he threw an interception. It was like that was his first interception in 448 attempts.
Honestly, wouldn't shock me because he went 48-5
Yeah,
and
like
26-4 and 25-2 and 16
this
and
dude don't miss.
he went 40-7 one season, 31-8, 38-5, 39 and
Has he
8,
ever had a
45
season where he had? Has he had
over
a season
10
where he had?
twice.
Yeah, okay.
He threw 11 and 13 in those 2 seasons.
In his what?
Uh,
15, 16-year career.
yeah, it was his first full season as a starter, and then his third season as a starter. So
So he hasn't done it in the past decade.
no, it hasn't been since 2010.
Oh man. Again, same thing that I said about Drew Brees goes for Aaron Rodgers. I hate him. He's so good at the game. I'm happy I got to watch him play, but I'll be so happy when he's gone.
In my opinion, the whole Packers team, right? So let's take Rodgers out, right? Like, say Rodgers doesn't exist, which is going to happen. This
Yes.
team, on paper, mediocre.
Oh,
The entire
100%.
team, not just offense, offense to defense, running back through, special teams. This team is mediocre at best.
This team is worth 5 wins at best.
I was going to say like 6, so we were close.
Outside of Aaron Rodgers, this team is not worth much, unfortunately.
It's
But Aaron Rodgers, I've talked about this before. Baseball has the stat of wins above replacement. How much better are you than the next best guy that would be filling your position? Aaron Rodgers is
it's like
legitimately
plus
worth,
8.
yeah, he's legitimately worth like +8, +9 wins a season just
Yep.
because of who he is, which is insane.
Which
But he is that good.
it's really blunt to say that, but like, to be honest, the Packers, just like, outside of their Super Bowl wins when Rodgers was here, during Rodgers' career, they've never really had, like, obviously in the little few years that they were like all the way across the board really good, but since then, like, they've been just relying on Rodgers to carry them, and he does.
And he does, but that's why we've seen the past 2 or 3 years he's been saying, I really don't want to come back to the Packers. And it's nothing against the guys he's playing with. It's solely the organization not giving him the help that he wants.
But see, here's the issue, right? Like, this is a team that, I mean, obviously Rodgers has issues with the organization, and it's clear that the organization has issues. Is their scouting poor that they're not helping, or are they just not caring about scouting because no matter what they do, Rodgers will carry them?
I feel like it's a combination of that to where the scouting isn't the best scouting of other teams in the league, but they know it doesn't matter what I do, we're going to get minimum 10 wins this year. So they've gotten really comfortable, and once Aaron Rodgers is gone, and they have a couple seasons of 4-11 or 4-13, 5-12, 2-15, that
Yep.
they'll start to realize, oh crap, we really did mess up not setting up our team up, and by then it's going to be well past way too late.
They are in a horrible spot because we knew when Rodgers came in, everyone knew that Rodgers was going to be good. We didn't know how
Yes,
good. We knew he was going to be good. I mean, this was back into the league in 2005. So this was the Favre Rodgers transition. But we knew that Rodgers was going to be good. We just didn't know this good, right?
we
Like,
didn't realize that he was
no
going to continue Brett Favre's reign.
no one could predict that he was going to throw 412 touchdowns and 89 interceptions, right? Like, no one's going to predict that. The issue now is that we don't know what's next after Rodgers. We know Jordan Love is there,
Jordan Love's not Aaron
but
Rodgers in
oh,
2004.
yeah, like, this is nowhere close to a transition that they've had.
I will say if Jordan Love is, this is going to sound really bad. If Jordan Love is half of what Aaron Rodgers is, they'll still be above 500.
I would say they'll have a swing of 7 to 10. Will be
Yeah.
their, like, oh, we got 7 wins. Oh no, we got 10 wins and made playoffs as a 7 seed, but then got knocked out. And then it's like, oh, we got 8 wins, and then we got not like.
So do you think moving forward, this is well past what we should be talking about because this isn't this year, but moving forward, say this is Aaron Rodgers' farewell tour this year. Do they try to get somebody who is better than Jordan Love? Or do they say, all right, Jordan Love, it's your team now, figure it out, we're going to get you some help? Which would
They
just be a slap in the face to Aaron Rodgers. They do that.
What they
But
need to do is what we talked about last episode, was what Washington did, and they built every piece but their quarterback position. And then they were like, all right, quarterback, it's your team. Everything else is set. Can you make it work? Oh, you can't? Okay, you're done. Next.
start moving through until somebody fits their 95% complete roster.
Yep. So that's what they need to do. The problem is I am I'm scared for Packers fans because when Rodgers leaves, they are gonna have like a the weirdest shock in their lives because they've been watching their team be good for so long,
Where a bad
and
season is wild card.
yeah, and now they're gonna be like, what what do you mean we have a top 10 draft pick?
So this is what the Lions feel
Yeah,
like.
at least we won a game. Like I don't know. I
Yeah.
It seems really like blunt about the Packers, but when a team relies on someone for so long, and it's apparent with this team, right? Like they have good pieces across the board,
But
but
nothing
good
is
pieces doesn't make a full puzzle.
yeah, nothing is complete. Like they've got we've been harping on Aaron Rodgers this whole time. So looking at their actual roster, they've got halfway decent wide receivers. I love Robert Tonyan. Offensive line is middle of the road.
Yep.
On their defense, Jair Alexander, great. Preston
Zadarius
Smith,
Smith
great.
and Zadarius Smith, like he's trending up. Like they have players who are trending in the right direction, but you can't be like, okay, our offense will have three good people and the rest whatever, and our defense will have three good people and the rest are whatever, and we'll make it work.
Yeah. This team feels like the real life version of an ultimate team.
Correct. For anyone who doesn't play video games in Madden, there's a mode called Ultimate Team where you basically open packs of trading cards, sort of like old Pokemon cards, and you hope that you get good players to make your roster better. And it looks like they're just opening a lot of packs, and they're like, okay, this guy's okay. Well, yep, this guy's okay. And,
Yeah.
all right.
You start with basically all third strings and then you
Yep.
just build your team up. And it feels like they've opened a couple halfway decent players in Jair Alexander, Robert Tonyan, Elton Jenkins, but the rest of them are still just kind of meh.
Yeah. This team, again, like, let's jump to their schedule. It's gonna be they're gonna have a good season just because Rodgers is there.
Yeah, the only I don't want to say saving grace, but that the opposite. What's the opposite of a saving grace? The only knock on their roster, I guess, or on their schedule is the fact that they were first in their division last year, so they got to play all the division winners this year. But the Saints aren't who they were last year.
Nope. They honestly
Washington,
they honestly have a very easy in terms of a lot of division winners first 8 games.
yes,
Honestly, this team, I'm gonna jump straight to it. I'm gonna say over under 12 and a half. Right? Like
yeah, yeah. Within one game of that, 12 to 13. If I got to pick, I'm saying under.
I'm gonna say 12. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
that their lack of help for Rodgers is gonna backfire in a couple games, and
their lack
they're gonna
of
go
everyone else.
they're gonna go 12-5, which is gonna win them the division.
Yes, they will repeat again and have their 10th division win in 15 years.
The downside though is that I'm gonna predict their 2022 season, pending with the star that Rodgers is not there. That they go 5-12.
Yeah, I was just flip it.
Whatever their record is this season, flip the numbers, and that's what they're going next season. I'm gonna predict it already.
Pretty much. Yeah. But you go ahead and break down their schedule a little bit. They do have all the division winners in the NFC. On top of they play who are they playing this year? The West? NFC
Yep.
West. So NFC West is I
Like
want to say they're a great division.
I'll just go straight top to bottom. So they have New Orleans, like you said, not who they used to be. They play Detroit. I'm sorry, Detroit, but you guys need a lot of help. San Francisco is still probably figuring out their quarterback situation by week 3. They play Pittsburgh, who we're not high on. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow's back. Hopefully that they can get going. Chicago, I think week 6 will be either where they decide to like start Justin Fields if they're going to start him. Um, but if
Regardless of who they start, I feel like week 6 is going to be their first real tough game of the season.
Yep.
Like I
Then
see them flying through 5-0 to week 6.
And then they play Washington, who we're really high on, but it's Fitzpatrick
Not
versus
Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers high
Rodgers.
on.
Like sorry, Fitzmagic, but Fitzmagic will never beat out Rodgers.
That could be the trap game, though.
It could be. I think their trap game is 7-8, Washington, and then into Arizona.
Both very tough, very sneaky teams right now.
Then they play Kansas City, Seattle, which could both be losses.
Yep.
They're fortunate they play Seattle in Green Bay. Then
Honestly, that 4 game stretch right there, the
Kansas,
Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Rams, could be 4 losses. Could be.
yeah.
All 4 of those are really good teams. It's middle of the season, so they've gone 8 weeks straight, too much straight without a break.
Mm-hmm. And then they go bye week. Then they go Chicago, Baltimore, Cleveland, Minnesota, Detroit, which they could go 5-0, or they could go
No worse
three
than
and
3 and
two.
2.
Yeah, like I don't know,
They
man.
have the most optimal schedule of somebody who won their division last
Yeah,
year.
it seems really weird. Everyone in the NFC is really fortunate because their division winner, in terms of the Saints, is not the same team, which is going to be the same team that if the Packers win this year, any team who gets first in division
Same story.
will have an easy game next season.
Yeah. Which is just crazy.
So
How they pull that off?
I don't, I don't know, man.
Little Aaron Rodgers magic on his way out. I don't know, but yeah,
Let's
12 wins, 13 wins. They win the division. Moving
yeah,
on.
let's jump to a
The
team.
bottom of the division.
Yeah, now the bottom 2 teams. Yeah. And with a team that has a quarterback who I think is the most overrated in the league. That is the Minnesota Vikings.
I don't understand.
It's
I don't understand the slander.
Dude, the thing with Kirk Cousins is just like they paid him. If I remember correctly, his thing was 4 years, 80 million, all guaranteed. I think he was the first quarterback to get a contract of that size that was all guaranteed.
Something like that.
And I'm looking at his stats, and he averages over the last 3 seasons about a 69% completion rate. He averages about 39 to 4,000 yards. He's averaging right at about 30 touchdowns, right at about 10 interceptions. So he's 3-1, which isn't a bad ratio. But I don't know, man. It doesn't seem to me like he is who they paid for.
Right.
Their records has been 8-7-1, 10-5, 7-9.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and ask you the same question that I'm about 95% sure I asked you last year, having the same conversation. Kirk Cousins, is he going to be on your fantasy roster?
No, I will never draft Kirk Cousins. Ever.
He puts up good stats.
I would never draft Kirk Cousins.
I think the biggest problem with Kirk Cousins is he's not great until he needs to be great. He won't do much the first 2.5 quarters, and then he'll turn it on and throw for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns in the last quarter and a half.
He gets bailed out because before Stephon Diggs left, he was fortunate to have Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, and now he has Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Like, this man gets 2 of the top 5, top 10 playmaking wide receivers in the league. Like,
Yes.
he keeps getting wide receivers that you just are able to get them the ball. They're gonna make somehow two defensive players miss. I mean, we saw the Minneapolis Miracle. Like, he legitimately made 2 guys miss or tackle each other. So I don't know, but like looking at Kirk Cousins, his overall career, he's gone 51, 51, and 2. I'm sorry, but I'm not paying 80 million all guaranteed for a guy who's going to give me 500.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's just,
But I'm on the opposite. I like Kirk Cousins. I like Kirk Cousins a lot. Because while he's going to go 500 and it seems to be like a very consistent 500, he's still going to he's a good enough quarterback. He's the kind of quarterback that a team where their defense is just good enough, if my offense can just put up 20 points this game, will win. He is the offense to put up 20 points a game. But there's the other side of that where he doesn't do it until he has to do it.
yep.
i.e., the Minneapolis Miracle. So I like Kirk Cousins. I don't think he is a top 10 quarterback in the league, but he is a great quarterback as far as when you need him, he's there.
The thing
But
is
sometimes it's not enough.
that is like that is the key point too to this Vikings team is that they rely so heavily on their defense. Daniel
Yes.
Hunter, Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr, Rashad Breeland, Harrison Smith, Xavier Woods, Patrick Peterson. Like they probably have the best starting four defensive back core in the league.
In the league.
Like a top three definitely.
They
So
honestly could put up. This will never happen because that's just the way the Pro Bowl works. But they could have 7 Pro Bowlers on this defense.
I agree. They definitely could. Just
But they, like I said, this is the team that like their defense is not going to allow more than 20 to 25 a game, and hopefully the offense can put up more than the 20 to 25 a game and string together some wins. I think this is the offense that can do that.
they
And
have
it doesn't matter how high I am on the Vikings; they're still going to get third in this division.
they definitely have a definite top 10 running back in Dalvin Cook. I want to say
Yes.
top 5, but like fourth and
I don't know.
fifth
The
in
last
that.
couple years, it's gotten pretty hairy up there in the top 5.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say top 10 because that's definite. I know that
Yeah.
for sure. He ran for 1557 last season and 16 touchdowns. He was
Great.
averaging. He only played 14 games. So he averaged over 100 yards and over 1 touchdown a game. So I would take that
Perfect.
100%. It's just my issue with this entire Vikings team becomes at the helm of that team. He's coming into his last season, by the way, with the Vikings.
Kirk Cousins is,
2021 is his fourth and final season of the contract. So the question is, does Kirk Cousins stay at the end of his contract?
unless they draft somebody or pick somebody up
Oh
off free
wait, I just
agency.
looked this up because I was wondering if he did sign an extension. He did.
Okay. Yay!
They paid him 2 years, 66, all guaranteed. How does this man just keep getting guaranteed money?
He has the same agent as Osweiler.
Oh, bro. Brock Osweiler
You remember that deal?
Oh, Osweiler. That. Do you remember when teams are trading his contract around?
Yeah, because I don't remember what the contract was, but it was like 3 years, all guaranteed, $60 million or something like that to ride the bench. I think he played 1 game in that span.
Let's see. He, the Texans offered him a contract in 2016. It wasn't all guaranteed.
Okay,
Um, it was
but
4 years, 72 million.
there you go. And what has he done since 2016 other
Honestly,
than get moved around
I
like
don't
4
even know
times?
what his stats were.
That's why I think he honestly played like less than 3 games in that span.
Brock Osweiler had a overall record of 15-15.
In that span?
Over
Did he?
his career.
Okay. Let's say, did he play at where did he go? Texans to Denver to
He was a mess, you know.
I don't know. I
I
what
just
what happened to where he got that contract?
no idea.
He made out like a bandit.
Just like looking at this Vikings team, man. Like Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. They lost Kyle Ridolph this season, so I don't think they have a solid tight end anymore. Their starter is Irv Smith Jr., who to be honest with you, I don't really know. He went 365 yards last season and 5 touchdowns over 13 games. So they don't really have a solid tight end. Their offensive line, I think, is mediocre. I would say average at best.
Yeah.
This is a team that relies heavily on Cook, Jefferson, and Thielen to make people miss and extend plays.
And then their defense to stop plays.
This isn't going to be a team that's going to go out and the thing with with these playmakers, again, it's only 2 wide receivers and 1 running back. Like they don't have a third wide receiver, they don't have a tight end that can really fill this. But with those three guys, they can go out and they can put up 50.
Yes.
Or they will go out and they'll put up 10.
Unfortunately, also yes.
So I don't know, man. It's relying so heavily, which it works for them. It's relying heavily on a defense to stop the just like be lights out, and then Kirk Cousins to make a 6 yard pass to someone, but them have
Turn it into 25 yards.
yards after the catch of like 80 yards.
Yeah. So
Almost half of their passing yards last season were yards after the catch,
believe that.
which means they're making 6 yard passes and turning them into 10. Which is like, I mean, it works.
That's what you want from your receivers, to be able to, one, get the ball, catch the ball, and then two, make a play after they catch the ball. Like that's exactly what you want out of your receivers, and that's what you want your quarterback to get it to your receivers to give them that opportunity.
I think they just need a new quarterback. That's my opinion. I think they just need a new quarterback.
I don't think they need a new quarterback. I think Kirk Cousins is perfect for the job if he could figure out how to be great more than a quarter and a half a game.
See, I would much rather give all this guaranteed money to Ryan Tannehill.
I can't knock you on that one.
Like, if we're gonna look at a guy who,
Now here's a guy.
now here's a guy. I tell you what, here's a guy. If we're gonna talk about someone who goes out and knows that his job isn't to be a 4,000 yard passer throwing 50 touchdowns and does it really well, I think Ryan Tannehill, Alex Smith not being in the league anymore, I think Ryan Tannehill is the best guy in that position. In that type of quarterback role, I think Ryan Tannehill is the number one. Alex Smith was the number one before that, but obviously went through his leg
God bless
trauma.
Alex Smith.
Yeah, they should make the Comeback Player of the Year award the Alex Smith Award.
Zero doubt, and I don't think you'd get any pushback. We need to make a petition.
Can someone in our Twitch chat get on that? Thank you, appreciate you guys.
Bodie.
So I don't know. Let's take a look at their schedule for the season.
So they got third in division last year, so they get to play all the third round or third place across the board.
I don't like their schedule.
I don't like their schedule. Even saying that,
they start with Cincy, who I think they can get a win at. Week 1, Joe Burrow's first game back. I think the Vikings win week 1.
Okay.
Then they go Arizona, Seattle, Cleveland, which I think they can win 1, but I don't think they can win more than 1, which is Arizona.
That's generous.
I think they can start 2-0, but their best record through 6 will be 4-2. That will be their best record through 6. Will be 4-2. But I'm honestly going to give them 3-3. I think they beat Cincy, Detroit, Carolina. Because Carolina's a mess. That's a mess.
Talk about them Tuesday, actually.
Then they come back from bye. And they play Dallas, Baltimore, Chargers, Green Bay. 4 losses. The only
49ers.
game that they can win in that 4-game stretch is going to be to Dallas. I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, but we have trouble for some reason playing against playmakers who in skill positions will extend plays, and that's what the Vikings have.
And that's exactly what the Vikings have in Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen.
This is
Cook.
This is a game where the Cowboys could go in and they could win 40-7, right? Like they could be lights out. Or they could go in and lose 41-40. And Dalvin Cook had like 220, 3 touchdowns. They had like 400 in the air. Like
just no answer for somebody, and they just keep burning you. Yeah.
But that's another. I'm gonna say at least 3 losses. I mean, they could be Baltimore and they could lose to us. Like Dallas and Baltimore, I think are like they go 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
They go 1-1 at best. They don't win both those games. So I mean, at that point, you have what 3 losses. 3 losses. You're 6. What 4-6 through 10. Then they play San Francisco. Do you give them a San Francisco win?
That's a toss up. I think San Francisco, that whole division, the NFC West, is just all four of them. We keep on using the term trending in the right direction, but all four of those teams really are trending in the right direction.
Yep.
And I think all four of them are better than the Vikings.
So 4-7. They play Detroit. We'll give another win. 5-7. Pittsburgh.
I feel like Pittsburgh, the second half of Pittsburgh season, and I don't know if we said this before, the second half of Pittsburgh season is going to rely on is Big Ben Super Bowl Big Ben or 43-year-old Fred Flintstone Big Ben,
Yeah. They
if
were
he's
really
even
tough.
playing in the second half.
Let's
I don't.
do
I give them Pittsburgh
let's do over
at that
under
point.
7.5.
Under. If they go over 7.5, that they get 8. Wow, wonderful. I was thinking 6.
That's right where I was. I think 6 pushing 7 is
Yeah.
right where I see this team.
Now, like you said, if they can snag the Cardinal game, if they can snag maybe Baltimore, if they can snag San Francisco, they might be able to get double-digit wins and fight for a wild card spot.
They have to
That
win.
is,
They have to win a lot of the 40-60 games
yeah.
or
Like
45-55 games.
I think best case scenario, giving them all of those not necessarily leaning in their direction games, giving them all of those, they get 7 seed wild card at like 10 wins.
Yeah.
Absolute best case scenario.
So we're thinking a wide spread of 6 to 10 wins.
More than likely 7 and 10, 6 and 11.
Got it. Well, let's transition to the
Yay.
poor Detroit Lions.
I feel like this might be quick.
I think their draft was good.
Their draft was good. Penny Swell, one of my favorite picks in the draft.
I'm shocked that he fell. It's gonna sound weird. I'm shocked that he fell to 7.
Yes.
I thought
Well,
he would.
whenever you look at the top 4 picks, we knew it was going to go quarterback, quarterback, quarterback. Falcons, I didn't think we were going to take. I was hoping we would take him, but we don't draft offensive linemen. And then the
And then
Bengals may have been the first pick,
the
first
fi-
time he could have gone.
the 5-6 were both guys drafted to match up with their quarterback.
Yeah,
So like,
but
it's the same time.
I'd
Like
say
I understand the 5-6 picks. I just think those teams would have benefited more from having
yeah.
someone like Sewell.
Was that your best available
Yeah.
for the Bengals and for the Dolphins?
Yeah, Sewell would have gone at 5 for me.
Yeah.
Like he should have gone at 5, and then he didn't. So he should have gone at 6, and he didn't. And then he gets the 7. I'm like, well, he should go here. Then he
And he
finally
finally
did,
did.
and I was like, thank God someone was paying attention.
Yeah. But DeAndre Swift, assuming he's healthy, he better run right behind Penny Swell all season long.
That is a big guy.
That's an understatement.
They
6'5",
have
330.
as-
And that's his college size.
yeah. The thing with DeAndre Swift that he didn't really have last season, one didn't play the full season. He was kind of injured a little bit of the games, but the Lions, how they have been for God knows how long, they give like a running back a few games and they're like, you're not really our guy. We'll give someone else. And then like the second guy doesn't really do well, and they go, maybe the first guy is really our guy. And they go back and they go back.
They don't necessarily split carries, they split games.
Yeah, it just they never give someone enough time to really get into like the season.
Well,
I mean, like again, like
they should give if they're going to change, DeAndre Swift should be the time to change.
it is really tough though. They did bring in Tyrell Williams and Brashad Perryman at wide receiver, who I think Tyrell Williams is an underrated number 2 wide receiver because when he was in San Diego, because they were San Diego at the time, when he was there behind Keenan Allen, he played really well.
That's why I know the name. Thank you.
He played really well there as a number 2 with a solid number 1. But now he comes into Detroit and he's their number 1, which
Uh,
he's never had a number one opportunity, so maybe he proves me wrong, right? And he comes out and
I mean,
he
he's
is it.
really in his career, he's really only had one true what you could call a number one season, depending on who else was at the team in 2016. It's the only season he broke 1,000 yards,
Yep.
7 touchdowns. That's about the best season. That I mean, that is the best season he had. But can he do a little bit more than that with Jared Goff?
The thing talk about Jared Goff in a second. I think he is overrated. I
Yes.
I think in terms of most overrated quarterbacks for me in the league, it's Kirk Cousins and then it's Jared Goff. Jared Goff got bailed out in when they were St. Louis because Sean McVay built an offense that was one really quick in the wide receiver position, sort of like the Vikings, how they can just throw it to someone and someone makes a play, but also an offense that did things that no NFL offense was doing in terms of their packages, and that's how they were able to make Jared Goff look really good.
Yeah.
And it's
Now that the
all,
league's caught up.
and that's why Jared Goff is no longer with the Rams.
Yeah.
So,
Which we'll talk about the Rams not next week, but the week after.
but like with
Um,
DeAndre Swift, Tyrell Williams, Rashad Perriman, T.J. Hawkinson, they have like a core that's heading in the right direction. But they need, unless Tyrell Williams can show out as a number one, they need a true number one. We say this about a lot of teams, but having a number one wide receiver is
it's
it
invaluable.
it's invaluable in terms of what happens pre-play.
Yeah. Because whenever they had Megatron, Calvin Johnson, every single play, not every play, but I'd say 2/3 of the play, Megatron would be lined up against two defenders.
Yeah, not just double teamed, but pre-play, they would show you that they are double teaming him. They would put two guys on him already before the play. He's standing there, not even moving.
Nothing's happened
And they're
yet,
like, we need two guys here now.
and the safety help over the top if needed.
And he would still catch it because he was like what 7'4".
Dude was a monster.
I mean,
I don't know. He
he
was a
was
monster.
he was a Megatron.
Megatron.
Yeah.
Yeah. First
So
ballot Hall of Famer easily.
yeah, 100%.
Retired early, probably smartest thing he could have done.
I mean, didn't he just make the Hall of Fame?
Was the series 5 years? I can't remember.
To be honest, I am like 99. Yes.
Okay.
So their core is heading in the right direction. I think T.J. Hawkinson is trending to being
I like
a top
I
5
like
tight
TJ
end.
Hawkinson.
I think he's sitting at like 9 through 12 in terms of tight ends in the league. I think he's heading into that top 10 for sure. Top 5 hopefully for the Lions.
Well, then do you think Jared Goff's going to use TJ Hawkinson as his safety net, his bailout on a lot of plays?
He should.
Should, yeah.
I Jared Goff he hasn't impressed me like as an NFL quarterback. He just
I,
he just hasn't.
I agree with you. He is a good quarterback as long as he's a good system quarterback as long as whatever system he's in is good.
Correct.
If that makes
But
sense.
once the Sean McVay offense became, as you said, like known because people had film, Goff
He fell off.
Goff doesn't like. There's a thing with Goff that like I feel like if the play falls apart, he doesn't like
He's
make a play.
lost.
Like we talked about Rodgers today. If the play falls apart, Rodgers will run left and right for 38 seconds and then throw it into the window of like 4 inches and it's a touchdown. But like Jared Goff,
Yeah.
if the play falls apart, he's like, might as well just
He's
lay
gonna
down.
fall to the ground, throw it away. It's just for whatever reason, whenever the play break down, it's the same problem he had in I almost said Seattle, in St. Louis / LA. He's not after about 5 seconds, if he doesn't get his number one guy or his number two guy, he scrambles,
Mhm.
which he can't scramble, or he just gives up.
Yep.
And I don't see why that should change with this team.
And then looking at because we talked about their offense, looking at their defense, they traded for Michael Brockers. They made some moves for defensive players in the draft. Their defense, they picked up a linebacker during free agency. Their their key core, like they have some good players, Michael Brockers, Jamie Collins Sr., Trey Flowers, and who I think is a top 3 cornerback in the league in Jeff Okuda. They're starting to get the right pieces on defense. They're starting to.
Yeah, but they're still an off season or two away from being able to actually do something with what they have.
This team is like, I'm gonna just go through their roster, and I'm gonna be real blunt with this Lions team. They need a quarterback, a solid running back, a number 1 wide receiver. They could get by with 2 more solid linemen. I'm not gonna say 3 or 4 because that's extreme, but we're gonna say 2 more. They need another defensive lineman to step up with Michael Brockers. They need 1 more linebacker to finish out because they run a 3-4. I think they should have 3 solid linebackers in terms of that. They need 1 more linebacker and they need a safety. Like this
You
team,
just named about 10 positions.
I know. This is why
But
this
I
team
mean,
is
that's
gonna.
the reality of it.
This is why this team's gonna get last in division.
Could they be the first 0-17?
No, this team will win a game.
Let's see. Let's look at their schedule.
This team will win
Which game?
the
Denver?
or Philly. Or, I mean, they could get lucky with a division game and they could beat the Bears. They could beat the Vikings. They will not beat the Packers.
No.
um,
They will not beat the Rams in the revenge tour game, whatever you want
honestly,
to call it.
I honestly think this
They
team.
could beat the Falcons.
Because teams win games that they shouldn't, right? Like the Lions, we look at their team, we say you probably shouldn't win like any games. Unfortunate to them and the Lions fans. Like I'm gonna be blunt, they shouldn't be winning a lot of games, and a lot is like 5. Like they shouldn't be winning a lot. But like teams will end up winning games because it's a team can win on any given Sunday. You know what I mean? Like it's the saying, but like it's true. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna say over under 3.5.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost said 2.5, but I didn't want to be that mean.
3.
I think this team,
Like you
wins 3
said,
games.
they could pull out 5. Say Green Bay clinches number 1 seed in the NFC by week 16.
Which is very true.
They could
Probably
win.
could.
They could win that game.
Yep.
They could beat Atlanta because Atlanta likes to play up and down to whoever they're playing against.
They could beat Denver. They could beat Minnesota. They could beat Chicago. They could beat Pittsburgh. They could beat Philly. They could beat Cincinnati.
But all those games that you just named, they'll actually win one of those.
Yeah. Because like unless this team is either going to go 0-17 or they're going to win 3+ games. I know it's not really like a wide.
No, but that's the reality of it.
But like
they're either going to go 0-17 or they're going to win at most.
I don't
3-4.
I don't think this is a team that's going to win 1 game. Like I think they have I think they have enough pieces to win them a couple games, but that's.
I think it'll take them until week 8 maybe against the Eagles.
The team is
finally get their win.
It's definitely going to. You're definitely going to see betting odds on who's going to have the number 1 draft pick, and the Lions will be the favorites through week 9.
Probably
100%. At week 9, the Lions will be the favorites in any betting. If there's betting for who will have the number 1 draft pick, the Lions will be the favorite. But I think they have the right pieces to get going, but this team is like 3 or 4 seasons out from being relevant. Not Super Bowl, but relevant.
Well, the problem with that is they enter that realm of relevancy and then almost immediately drop out after like 2 years.
Yep.
For whatever reason, that seems to be what they do.
The nice thing,
and now that they don't have Megatron to lean on,
the nice thing is if they have a really good offseason, like if a couple of their pieces this season can show out and really show us like that they are true starters in the league, like if DeAndre Swift can come out and be like, look, I'm that guy. If they can have those things happen this season and then next draft and next free agency get the right pieces again, I think they can sweep the Packers next season without Rodgers.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a completely different team next year without Rodgers.
So
They could have a swing next year to where they go from 3 wins this year to like 7 wins next year.
yeah,
Assuming DeAndre Swift, yeah, everything you just said pretty much. DeAndre Swift ends up being that guy. Jared Goff is either average
or they
or they
find
find
some.
somebody
Yeah,
else. They could possibly string together some.
this team could be really
This is 12
fortunate.
months later,
This
but
team could be really fortunate, and they could. It's going to sound really dumb with how I say fortunate because it's going to be kind of backhanded. They could have the number one pick in the draft, take the best quarterback. Jared Goff sits behind him and teaches him, and the number one guy comes in and is really relevant.
and they get to play against all the fourth place in each division and get 3 easy wins off of that.
This team, and then you have the Packers without Rodgers. Like that's 5
That
wins
could be,
right
if
there.
it's good enough, they should be able to beat the Vikings at least once. That's 6.
So like
So
they could be relevant
as early as next year.
if things go a certain way. But I would say they are 3 to 4 seasons out from being a relevant team. If they make the right decisions. If they do what the Packers do and never make good decisions to help their team, they will stay irrelevant.
Yeah.
So let's wrap
Tough.
up the division with our predictions 1 through 4. I mean, it's pretty.
You want to say it at the same time?
I'll let you say it, and I'll see if I agree.
Might be controversial. Packers.
Whoa!
I know. Bears.
What?
Kirk Cousins led Vikings. Detroit Lions. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know. No, reality, like this.
I agree.
This is about as cookie cutter of a division as we'll see. There's really not going to be the
I-
only change that I can see that is the Bears and the Packers somehow.
Oh,
That's the only that's a long shot. I don't see the Bears doing worse than the Vikings. I don't see the
I
Vikings
see.
doing better than
I
the
see
Bears
2-3 switching
because
because
of the Andy Dalton thing. That's fair.
I'm really nervous because teams sometimes will sit on the veteran because they're a veteran and not because like they don't look at the future sometimes.
Yeah.
So who knows? But that will wrap up this division review. We have 2 more divisions to go. Next episode will be the NFC South, and then we will do the NFC West right before, like a week before the season starts. So, but Eddie,
Fun fact.
it is your fun fact part of the
Yes.
episode. What is my number?
Your number is 26. This is a stat on the field. I will give you another hint when requested.
26.
26. It's kind of an odd number.
No, it's actually an even number.
It is an even number.
Smart. 26. Is it like a season stat? Like, okay.
It is a season stat.
The most interceptions by one player in a season.
No, but you're on the right side of the ball.
Most fumbles forced by a guy. The most sacks
No.
by a guy. Is that Strahan?
So unofficially, sacks were not a official stat until 1982.
Oh,
And yes, Michael Strahan owns the record at 22 and a half
okay.
in 2001. Coy Bacon, that's actually his name. Coy Bacon.
COY? Bacon?
COY Bacon.
Okay.
Not soy bacon, Coy Bacon.
Okay.
26 sacks unofficially in 1976. Dude was a menace.
Yikes.
Dude was such a menace. He retired from the league, and this was still United States Football League was still a thing in the 80s. He was drafted at the age of 41. Dude was a menace. Now, if you go and try to look this stat up, there's a whole lot of controversy because it was not an officially recorded stat. But 26 is, to him and to a lot of other people, the record unofficially, because at the end of the last game of the season in 1976 for Cincinnati, the announcer said that he had 26 sacks on the season. And he said, quote, "For me, that's enough to make it official." And I agree with him. It was said on national TV that he had 26 sacks on the season. That's enough for me.
I'm just trying to think of someone in today's world getting 26 sacks. Like, who
Aaron
could.
Donald,
Aaron
Khalil Mack.
Donald, Khalil Mack.
Not really any other guys I'd put up there that might be able to swing. Might be able to do it.
I,
Dark horse Darius Leonard, if he can figure it out.
I think that's. I think that's. I think that's it, right? 26. Like
I
Aaron
mean, you
Donald
see
and Khalil Mack. Like,
nowadays, you see tandems of guys on a defense getting 25 sacks on a season together.
let's look.
I mean, that shows you how insane Michael Strahan was for one, and then you say that this dude got 26 in a season. I think that's just insane.
Most sacks last season was T.J. Watt with 15.
So yeah, so 76, they would have been playing 14 games that season. This dude got 2 sacks a game almost.
This needs to stop, man. This needs to stop. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And the link that's there's got a couple other guys that were menaces in the 70s and 80s, but I love that.
Man. Pro Football Journal credits Bacon with 21.5 sacks.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I've seen anywhere from like 22 to 26.
That's crazy. The Jacksonville Bulls of the USFL.
Yeah, that at the age of 41 is where he was drafted. At 41 years old, this dude was still in shape enough and that much of a menace to be able to get drafted at 41.
At 41, Coy Bacon was good enough to be drafted and drafted by a league that produced Hall of Famers Reggie White, Steve Young, Jim Kelly, and Gary Zimmerman.
There you go. I wonder why the USFL went away then.
6'4", 270. Probably because the NFL just took over everything, like the world does. Or one thing just takes over.
That's fair. 130.5 sacks in his career.
He had 8 seasons with double-digit sacks.
I mean, to his, I don't know if this is his benefit or not. In this, up until like probably mid 70s, early 80s, football for a lot of these guys was like their weekend job. They would legitimately go work their 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, and then go practice on like Thursday, Friday, Saturdays.
It's like Iceland for soccer. When they played in the Euro Championship in 2016, they showed right before their first game, they put their 11 players on the screen like they usually do when they show the formation, and then they changed their name to their day job. And I think one of them was a professional footballer. And the rest of them were like, mailman, dentist. And I was like,
chef.
And then they end up getting like 4th or something ridiculous. And I was like, you guys get paid, and you lost to that guy who 8 to 5 fixes teeth. What are you doing?
Like, what was this? The Winter Olympics 2018? The U.S. curling team that won, I think they won gold. They were just like 4 dads from Minnesota that played curling every once in a while when they went to the bar. And they won gold.
Didn't like 3 of them have like really nice mustaches too? And I was like...
I think all of them had like the whole mustache thing going on.
I was like, all right, guys, I see you. This quote, it says, Bacon died in 2008 at the age of 66, with Bengals owner Mike Brown calling him the greatest pass rusher our team has ever had. He didn't say defensive end, he said pass rusher, and there's a big difference because Coy Bacon was not a 3-down defensive end. He didn't play the run, he played the pass.
There you go, then.
Which means he ran at the quarterback no matter what the play was doing.
I just imagine him like jumping over, like punching the center of the mouth, jumping over the right guard, and just charging arms up.
And the running back just like runs like literally like right by him, and he's like, "You don't got the ball? Okay." And he's like,
yeah,
stops.
Pretty much.
Next play, I'm gonna get you. Watch out. Hey, good tackle. And just like forgets about the rest of the play.
Just grunts every time coach tells him something.
It's like from that movie, The Replacements. He's like, "Go give me the ball. I'll get you the ball." He comes back. He's like, "Coach, I got you the ball." And he's like, Oh, great job. Now go sit down. Okay.
Great movie.
Great
Wonderful
movie.
movie.
But before we sit here and ramble like we usually do at the end of every episode, we're going to go ahead and end episode 39. Like I said, episode 40 will be the NFC South review next Tuesday, which is Eddie's division, on August 24th. Upcoming schedule, August 24th will be the South. August 31st will be the West. Then September 7th will be our season prediction review. Well, it's the last episode
With the long one.
before the first week of regular season. So expect it to be a long one. Expect us to make way too many predictions, be wrong on way too many of them. But yeah, should be exciting. You can find us on Twitter at Memes32Teams. You can watch us live on Twitch, pending at 7 p.m. if I can have a sleep schedule. But 7 p.m. Central over on twitch.tv/memestreams32teams. All of our episodes get uploaded to YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify, and that is Meme Streams 32 Teams. Just search and you will find us. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us in Twitch chat. Appreciate you guys watching us on any of the platforms, listening to us. And we will see you guys next Tuesday for the NFC South. Peace.
Bye-bye.